Hello everyone and welcome back to the F2 show by Inside F2. Formula 2 returned to the home of motorsport this weekend, Silverstone. This photo right here that sits in my background all year long for visual, YouTube viewers, audio viewers won't be able to see it, but I've got a picture of Silverstone right behind me, which sits there all year long. And Aaron and Martin, you were trackside for this one for this weekend, which is great, not just on the press conferences, but also in the paddock as well. I've got so many questions for you both, but the first question, Aaron, is did you enjoy it? Did you have a good weekend?
Look, Silverstone delivered again, just not in terms of the Formula 1 race and all of that action that it provided, but Formula 2 and Formula 3 were spectacular because the Great British Summer did its thing. You had bright sunshine on Friday for qualifying, overcast on Saturday, and then it was rainy on Sunday morning. And fair play, we didn't see like huge accidents, people flying off in the wet and losing control of the car. So it's a real testament to the skill of these drivers. An unbelievable experience. Yeah, and just thank you to Inside F2 for being able to provide that opportunity for me. So yeah, those memories will stay with me for a very, very long time and forever on my Instagram account.
Yeah, I love that. Glad you had a good weekend. Martin, I know you were there last year, so second year in a row. Enjoy it. Good weekend. And as Aaron's already mentioned, the Great British weather obviously played its part this weekend, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have you there this year, so it was even better. It was. I had a really good time. Missed you, Fraser, of course, but I had Aaron, which was great, and it was such a good weekend. It's so nice to be trackside watching the cars and the drivers that we talk about all year round, and it's mine and Aaron's opportunity really to get inside the paddock and start to talk to drivers about what really makes them tick, because you've only got so much time in a press conference to ask the same sort of questions about what they like about the track or certain moves, whereas when you're in the paddock you can really get more into those details. So yeah, really enjoyed myself, and I don't think there's too many other tracks where you can, but F2 races at, where you can be finishing off a 13-14 hour day in the paddock and be leaving the track and you've got Fatboy Slim mixing Don't Stop Me Now and The Chain. I almost stopped, but to keep my eyes open, so I got on the bus.
Good stuff, Martin. After that, so I'm just having a look to see if I can remove Martin from the call after that slander at the start there. But no, listen, I'm glad you both had a good weekend, and yeah, absolutely, I'm excited to get into this because there's lots to talk about, and yeah, it's going to be great to have your input and your insight into what was a brilliant weekend at Silverstone. We're going to be talking about Alex Dunn's title chances a little bit later. We're going to be talking about Luke Browning and his epic pace in the feature race. It was brilliant. We're also going to be answering your questions this weekend from the Discord channel. As always, thank you to everyone in our Discord channel for your continuous engagement and asking questions. We're going to answer as many of those questions as we always do. One of those questions is about Arvid Lindblad and his FP1 performance, so we'll get onto that shortly. But before all of that, should we start with the feature race? We had our first wet race of the season. Well, our first wet race that wasn't called off anyway.
I was scared.
Yeah. But
someone was writing their report saying the feature race has been cancelled, and this was the end of the Formula 3. I was like, mate, you're going a bit early on that. And then there was a thunderstorm, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Listen, we did get a race, which is the main thing. Jack Crawford was the winner. He moves just 6 points away from the championship lead. Obviously, he controlled it from the start after beating Victor Martins off the line, and he escaped a penalty, didn't he, after entering the pit lane just before the virtual safety car. And Aaron, I know you spoke to Jack. A good performance from him at a place that he obviously had that history from last year as well, didn't he? He won it on the road and obviously picked up a penalty. So, yeah, was that relief for Jack Crawford?
I think so. I mean, I spoke to him on Saturday after the sprint race, but I've just been actually writing an article from the Dam's website about what Jack has had to say post-weekend. He said he's really proud to have won Silverstone. And I think that's the sort of vibe these drivers will have. They recognise that Silverstone is one of those classic venues. It's one place where they all want to win. It's up there alongside the likes of Monaco and Suzuka if they make it to Formula One, and Monza as well. Places with this history that have been around basically forever in motorsport terms.
Longer than you.
Yeah, almost as long as me. Yeah, I mean, he was in good form, and he said to me on Saturday that he wanted the race to be dry because he knew the pace was going to be good. But then he made that incredible start, helped by Victor Martins not making a particularly good one. And I think Alex Dunn just made a normal one, and Crawford made an absolutely outstanding one.
Yeah.
And from there, because he had the visibility, he could control his pace. He held off Alex Dunn. He timed that pit stop just perfectly. And I went to find some of the team members from Dams. I ended up finding Jack's dad, and I asked him, are you okay? Were you sure he's good for the win? And he was absolutely categorically adamant. He showed me a picture on his phone with Jack in the pit lane entry. He'd circled it, and he's like, that's where he was when the VSC was deployed. And I looked at it, I thought, actually, do you know what? They'll get away with it because the pit entry at Silverstone is slightly quirky and it cuts out the final two corners. Once you commit to the pit entry, there is no reasonable way of leaving it. It's not like you've got this big slip road that he could potentially dart across the entry and do it slowly and carefully and not break the rule.
Not like he did it at Monaco, where he waited to the last second because there is that little bit of margin where you can just jump straight in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by that point, you're committed and there's no way out. So I think the stewards have to take a little bit of a common sense approach to that. And I don't think he went to the stewards, but yeah, I'm guessing that's what they did. And a fully deserved win. Very, very good performance. Dams called the strategy right. I spoke to Invicta's James Robinson after the race, and I asked him how tough it was to call that race from the pit wall. And he said it was just so difficult because they had no idea what to do because they've not used this car at that circuit in those sorts of conditions previously. So they were relying completely on the feedback of the driver, and then it's up to the driver to go and make it work. You saw some drivers opt for wets. You saw some drivers opt for slicks. Some went sliding off the road, and some went on to win races. It's that's motorsport, and that's the dice that you roll when it's changeable conditions.
Yeah, for sure. Martin, I know our good friend of the podcast, Chris McCarthy, was saying in commentary that he thinks he might get a penalty for that. So in our Inside F2 Discord, we were having a conversation in our general chat, as we always do when the race is on, and I said, no, I think he'll be all right, based on what you said, Aaron, that the pit lane peels off, and you've got grass separating the pit lane entry and the circuit. Obviously, it would have been dangerous for him to go across the grass to get back onto the racing line. So I did think he would be all right. And it wasn't even investigated, was it? It was like, cool, done. Like it wasn't even a talking point really in the end, was it?
No, exactly. For us, we were in the media center, and you could see that it was a little bit tight. But as soon as we realised that actually Jack was over the white line into the pit entry, that kind of shut the case, because you could see that, even like Aaron was saying, even if in theory he could pull out, well, then he's going to give himself a penalty for going around the bollard. And the stewards quite fairly looked at that and decided, actually, you can't expect a driver to do that. He's gone into the pits. You can't really pull out of that situation. I think that was the right decision to not investigate it. And as Aaron said, it was a completely deserved win. It was a very, very competent display from a driver who's now quite used to winning in Formula 2, and he didn't really look too threatened during that race.
Championship momentum's with him as well, because 28 points, Richard Verschoor didn't pick up a huge amount. Alex Dunn scored well, but obviously the disqualification last week in Austria really denting his progress. Without that, he'd be leading the championship right now. So it's really exciting. This is why we love Formula 2. I think I don't think this was broadcast on the TV feed to everybody else, but at the track we had a different feed. And before the race, Alex Jakes, the Lord of Formula 2 commentary, he was saying, they asked him who was going to win, and he said, in Formula 2, there are no predictions. There is just amazing on-track action. Nice. And I just thought that sums it up perfectly.
Absolutely.
They need to put that on the branding.
Yeah, exactly that. Tell you what though, I am going to make a prediction because I think after this weekend, I'm very happy to go on record with what 7 rounds to go, 6 rounds to go even, and say that I think this weekend was a massive turning point in the championship, and I think Jack Crawford will go on to win the championship from this point because I just feel like momentum is with him. I think so. My pre-season, my one to watch or my bold prediction at the start of the season, as we always make our predictions, was for Jack Crawford to win the championship and to drive a Cadillac next year. Now, I don't necessarily think that I haven't really. There was a few rumours at the start of the year. Maybe Cadillac would consider him. We've heard nothing since, so I don't think he will get the Cadillac drive. But I tell you what, I still think he might go on to win the championship. And if he puts in good performances in Spa and Budapest over the next couple of rounds, and the Cadillac still haven't made a decision on who's who's going to be driving for them, even if it's just one seat. Maybe he does put himself into a position to be negotiating with Cadillac. But yeah, that's my prediction, is that I think Jack Crawford will go on to win the championship from here. And Richard Verschoor, who I know you guys spoke to, will be feeling the pressure from Jack Crawford, I think, now.
I think so. I mean, it's tight up there, but it's been tight all season. And to sort of go on your point of the Cadillac drive, let's just sort of, I know we're going slightly off piste here. We're a Formula 2 podcast, but we're going to talk Formula 1 for a second. Valtteri Bottas is very much in line for that Alpine drive, and that could happen this season. And they go to Mercedes engines next year. So I can see Bottas ending up at Alpine, if not this season, definitely for the start of next season, which means the main contender to lead the Cadillac outfit next year is Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
So if Crawford hypothetically goes on and wins the F2 championship, Cadillac absolutely have to put him in because, number one, he's fast. He's proved that. He's taken pole positions. He can win races and he can do a very good job. And he's been in the same environment as Fernando Alonso, who is rather handy behind a Formula One car.
No.
I know. So, and also, he is from America. So if you want to get American eyes on this, you put a young American hot shoe in there alongside Sergio Perez, who's from Mexico. So you're going to get a huge amount of eyeballs from there. It's basically a North American super team. All you're missing is Jacques Villeneuve, and that's your lot completed, because then you've got Canada.
Lance Stroll.
Villeneuve's won a world championship, so let's go with that.
Give him time.
So, yes, I think there is definitely a scenario where Crawford plays his way in to that second Cadillac seat. If he continues to perform like he did this weekend and goes on a bit of a tear and really grasps the neck of this championship and takes it away from everybody else, he will be very much on Graham Loudon's radar in terms of that second Cadillac seat. But F2 can change very quickly. We've seen that several times already this season. So we mustn't get too carried away. I don't think he is, but I think they'll know if he can do well, that Cadillac seat's open.
There's a few more factors that play in Jack's favour for that. Firstly, the Formula 1 rookie's performance this year, on the whole, has been generally quite good. Kimi Antonelli, he's retired in a few of the last races, but he's clearly an incredible driver. Isaac Hadjar didn't win the F2 championship, but has been probably the most impressive rookie.
Who Jack Crawford beat when they were teammates at High Tech.
Who Jack Crawford beat in Formula 3.
Yeah. And Formula 2. First season in Formula 2.
Yeah.
When they were teammates at High Tech.
Gabriel Bortoleto, coming in from winning the Formula 2 championship, scored his first points in Austria. And there's the next thing, which is that if you're looking at an American driver, who is there in IndyCar, which is where you're going to be looking? Colton Herta has been talked about. He's not having the most impressive season in IndyCar. He's not won a race. Kyle Kirkwood has won a few races. He's not really been in the conversation. And then you look at, what links has Jack Crawford got to the Cadillac team? Oh, well, he has been a test driver for Andretti in Formula E. And then it all starts to make quite a lot of sense for Jack. In terms of why he's in the position he is in the championship standings, I think the most important thing for him is the sprint races. Now, obviously, the feature races are where the big points are scored. That's what Jack said to me on Saturday. But if you discount the first 3 sprint races in Melbourne, Sakir and Jeddah, where he didn't score until the Jeddah feature race. You look at Imola, Monaco, Barcelona, Spielberg and Silverstone. He only failed to score in Spielberg. Every single other sprint race, he won in Imola, 4th in Monaco, 4th in Barcelona, and 6th at Silverstone. He's racking up those minor points that other drivers just aren't quite doing. And Luke Browning has scored 3 points in the last 3 sprint races. Arvid Lindblad has scored 2 points in the last 4 sprint races. This is the key factor in this championship, I think, is those races on the Saturday, because we know that the cream will rise to the top on the Sunday. It's how you can work through the field on the Saturday, and Jack Crawford is doing that really well at the moment.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
literally what I said to Richard Verschoor as well on Saturday when I spoke to him. I said, good job out there. There's just points, keep that score ticking over, and he agreed. So, yeah, it's all important. You've got to keep scoring heavily in the feature races with like sort of top 4, top 3 finishes, and keep picking up some points in the sprint races if you're not winning it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to move it on in the interest of time because we can spend all day talking about this. I know we can. I want to talk about Victor Martins and Alex Dunn. Let's talk about Victor Martins to start off with. He cannot get a good result, Martin, can he? He qualifies so well. I go as far as saying in his 3 seasons of Formula 2, he's probably one of the best qualifiers we've ever seen in the series. His qualifying is so consistent, so good. Sticks it on pole this weekend and still can't get a good result. And, he ended up, I don't even know how he ended up with damage behind the safety car, to be honest with you. But it just all falls apart for him in the race, doesn't it?
Well, I was speaking to Victor on Saturday, and he was saying that pretty confident over at ART that actually the qualifying really is almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
You're never going to say, "Oh, I'm going to be in the top 3 in every race," but they've been so consistent that they have to think that hopefully qualifying will be fine. But in the races, they can't seem to get to the bottom of the problem. And then when they do have a good position in a track where maybe it's a little bit more difficult to overtake, say in Monaco, we all know what happened in Monaco, and so it becomes really difficult for Victor. We know he's got the speed. He's shown that for the last 4 years now, 5 years, consistently. In almost every weekend Victor's been in, he's made some kind of show. Even when the car last year was clearly not up to championship challenges, he's still got a few pole positions. He's an incredible driver, but it just isn't quite happening for him. On Sunday, with that start, I was really thinking this could be Victor's day. If he can get away well from the start in these changeable conditions, actually in the wet, it is a little bit more difficult to overtake, and perhaps he can start to equalise a little bit of that pace difference in the races that ART's clearly not got compared to, say, the road or the dams. But where he just got swallowed up straight away off the start, it was over almost before it even started. He was playing catch up, and then he had Luke Browning coming through, which was, we'll get onto that later, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it was just not the day that I think Victor, in my head, I hope Victor was going to have in terms of finally getting that first win on the board this season.
Yeah, for sure. It was a difficult day for Victor Martins, but listen, as you say, I don't think his results are representative of his talent, and I think that's the most frustrating thing for Victor, and I'm sure it will be his last season in Formula 2, so I think he'll be a bit gutted, won't he? I want to move it on again. Alex Dunn, obviously second place finish, couldn't quite catch Jack Crawford. There was a moment just before the safety car where he got quite close, didn't he? But he wasn't quite able to get him. I'm going to move it straight on to one of our questions from Discord. dr3_Jack on Discord asks, could Henri Cordil have got out the way under the safety car, or would that have been illegal? And Aaron, I know you've had a look at this one. My initial thoughts, so straight away, I was thinking that, oh my goodness, Henri Cordil is costing Alex Dunn the win here, because he could have potentially got in and out. Obviously quicker than what Jack Crawford did. My impression was that the safety car being deployed, going from virtual safety car to this full safety car, potentially eradicated the pace that caused the time that Alex Dunn lost. But is that slightly different, Aaron, from what I'm thinking?
So to first of all answer the question from Discord, no, Henri Cordil could not have just got out of the way. You cannot overtake.
You can't do that,
during a caution period.
What would have happened though if he'd have accidentally made a mistake and gone off? Then he could have.
If he'd slid off the track, Dunn could have gone past.
Yeah, which would have been.
But
I was
Rodin
wondering whether
couldn't tell him to do that. I think they said on the radio to Dunn that they were shouting at Cordial, maybe to try and hurry him up.
Yeah.
Maybe in the case
he's on the dry tyres though.
He's on the dry tyres, so maybe he couldn't go any faster. That's the problem. And I was looking at the sector times as that was happening, and Victor Martins took 2.5 seconds out of Alex Dunn under virtual safety car. So they have a delta time. They can't get to a certain point any earlier. Cordial was so slow that he was what they call positive on the delta, which means he's above it, which means he's safe. You need to be positive on the delta. If you're negative, you're going too fast. But he would have been ballooned over that by his slick tyres. I think without Cordial where he was, it was all situational circumstances. Nothing Anne-Marie Cordial could have done about it. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. I think without him being there, Dunn pits under the full safety car and comes out in front because you lose less time. So yes, Anne-Marie Cordial has inadvertently kind of cost Alex Dunn a victory there, perhaps. You'd have to look at all of the sector times and add it all up. But just from eyeballing it and knowing that you lose so much less time under safety car conditions, and you can't stop under the VSC anyway, so comparing to racing speeds, Alex Dunn probably would have come out in front because at safety car they have to slow down even more. So yes, that's potentially a race win that's been lost for Alex Dunn. But second place, he had the opportunity as well on track before to pass Crawford. He couldn't do it. So it's okay. Well, it would have been very fortuitous for that to happen. Yeah. And I think in the end, Crawford was a deserving winner. But if Dunn had got through, you could say, well, he was fast enough. He put it on the front row. The pace was clearly there. He went with Crawford at the beginning. They both left Victor Martins behind. So, I think he'd have been a deserving winner. But I think Jack Crawford, a very, very well-deserved winner. And I can't complain about that at all.
No, I totally agree. Ren's Nanas 13 on Discord asks, is it still realistic for Alex Dunn to win the title, Martin?
100%. I think Alex Dunn, right now, he's only 14 points away from Richard Verschoor. There's 6 rounds remaining in this championship. And to my eyes, I think Alex Dunn is only going to become a better driver, a faster driver, as this championship goes on. I think we've already seen a lot of improvement this year. I think there's still mistakes that creep in. I think you can definitely see that he's still got that rasher side to his driving. But I think if he can pull out drives like he did on Sunday, where he wasn't clearly the quickest car like he was at Imola or Bahrain, but he could relatively comfortably pick up second place. That's the kind of drive that is going to win you the championship. So almost play devil's advocate for a second. If you're going to get caught up in scraps like he did with Gabriele Mini in the sprint race, that's the opposite. Like I was saying earlier, in the sprint race, you need to be picking up points. Alex Dunn was just outside the points at the time of that collision, I believe. The stewards penalised Mini by 10 seconds, which I thought, okay, was there room for Mini on the outside? I'm not sure, but could Dunn have maybe anticipated the situation a little bit better? Can you, when you're a championship contender, can you try and make sure you don't pick up damage when there's someone overtaking you? I know there's all these split-second decisions, but that's what's going to happen when you're going for a championship. What I'm saying is I think that he's going to improve as a driver, he's going to mature, he's going to make the better decision in those situations more often than not in the second half of this championship. And I think definitely he's a very good contender.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, we always enjoy hearing from you guys at home. So let us know in the comments who wins the title from here. Is it Richard Verschoor, who currently is the championship leader? Is it Jack Crawford, who has the momentum? Is it one of the rookies? Is it Alex Dunn, for example? Let us know in the comments who you think wins the title from here. 6 rounds remaining. I've said that twice now. 6 rounds remaining. Let us know. Is it Luke Browning? Let's talk about him. He was potentially probably the driver of the day on Sunday. He looked like he had pace all weekend long, to be fair. Him and Dino Beganovic were absolutely rapid on Sunday in the wet conditions. And it was a bit of home advantage. Is that Aaron at Silverstone in front of his home fans?
I know that many different nations will have rainy and changeable conditions, but there's something about British drivers and just excelling in the wet. I can't put my finger on it. It's literally just the fact that we have such rubbish weather here from time to time, isn't it? I think but Luke did an amazing job. He qualified 12th on Friday, and High-Tech did a brilliant job with their cars for Sunday morning. I think they gambled on a full wet race, and it paid off handsomely with a podium and P4. Dino was really unlucky to not get away from the dummy grid on Saturday in the sprint race, starting third. So we never really saw his true dry pace. He might have had a shot of winning that one, but I'm sure we'll talk about Leo Fornaroli in a moment. But Luke was just on another level, wasn't he? He scythed through the field, and then he started catching some of the guys at the front, and they were a little bit quicker. So the likes of Dirksen and Martins, who were scrapping away, and he still managed to find a way through them. If we don't get the virtual safety car and the subsequent full safety car, Luke Browning probably wins that race because he was the first to pit for new wets. He would have gained so much time on the others. I think he'd have come out in a green flag race all the way to the end. He comes out in front, he wins from 12th, and it's a win that we talk about for years afterwards. You go, what a drive that was. Again, look, that's the way it works out. That's safety cars, that's wet races, incidents happen. We saw it in Formula One. Things can happen and drivers make mistakes. So Luke will be delighted with the podium. But if you say to him, you could have won that one, I'm sure he'll be like, But look, going from 12th to 3rd is a absolutely splendid performance. And he delighted the home crowd with it. Always nice to see drivers on the podium at their home race, whether they're British, whether they're Italian, or whether they're from a different nation. It's always great to see because the fans go there to support their drivers, and then it's great for them to get that moment with the crowd.
Yeah, for sure. I know he had so much support this weekend, didn't he? So, sits 5th in the standings, 98 points. He's 24 points away from Richard Verschoor, less than a race win away from the top of the standings. So he will absolutely feel like he is a championship contender still. Someone else who will feel like that after their first win of the season. Leonardo Fornaroli wins the sprint race, Martin. What was the paddock like after that? Because I know he's a popular guy in the paddock, isn't he? And I know a lot of people will be buzzing for him that he finally got that monkey off his back and he won a race on a Formula One race weekend.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was so pleased for Leo because, as you say, it's almost become Leo Fornaroli, the driver who hasn't won in 4 years but won the Formula 3 championship last year, and it's like you said, become almost a ring around his neck where he's put together a lot of consistent results and he's got pole positions and he got that podium in Monaco where, let's be honest, he should have won that race and he didn't through no fault of his own. It seems like on Saturday it finally all came together for him. He was talking and saying that he lost the P1 to Kush Maini, of course, at the start. And he said, no, I have to get P1 back. And it was a quite incredible daring move through Luffield, along the national pit straight, right in front of me and Aaron, and down the inside at Copse. From that moment, you never thought he wasn't going to win that race. There was all kinds of chaos raining down behind him. But in that sprint race, Leo Fornaroli was sublime. And it wasn't a feature race, which, of course, I know he wanted it to be, and he mentioned that as well. But it's still a race win. It's Invicta's first race win of the season. It was a double podium for them, with Roman Stanek getting up there for the first time as well. So it was a real feel-good story for that team, and you couldn't help but be pleased with them, because this result has been coming for both drivers. Stanek's podium and Fornaroli's win for a while, I feel. Stanek's second podium in a row.
The paddock was just so happy. It was such a popular win. I did get a chance to speak to Leo shortly after his victory, and he said it was a bit of a relief, but he wasn't going to be getting too carried away, like Martin mentioned, not a feature race. But I said to him after our interview, celebrate it, because it's a win. A win is a win. You should celebrate it because you have beaten everybody else. It doesn't matter how far the race distance is. He still beat everybody. And if the race had needed to be 7 laps longer to be a feature race length, he had the pace to do it. But he's such a lovely young man. He really considers his answers. Obviously, anyone who's watched or listened to the podcast you did with him, he really thinks about his answers. And for a chap who English is his second language, I think that is really, really astute. I mean, there was a moment in our interview where he couldn't quite find the right word, and he asked me sort of, how do you say that? So I sort of pointed him in the right direction. It was the word he was trying to say anyway. It's just, you can really tell he cares about what he says and how he's perceived and doing the right things. He comes from a really good background, and it was just, I think for anyone who thought his F3 title was a little bit lucky, which it wasn't, because I must say, to win a championship without winning a race, that is an art. As an
Never
absolute
luck.
art.
Yeah.
It's never
with that competitive a field as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And to do the move that he did at the final corner of the final race, it was Hamilton 2008 is that Glock-esque. So, it was. It kind of justifies his position as the Formula 3 champion in that sense, because he can win races at this level, and we can undeniably say he is a race winner. And I just could not be happier for him. That move at Luffield as well, and I just see them come flashing past, this yellow and pink blur, and I was like, oh my God, he's going past. And he did it. He got the lead. And I looked back at it, and it was a superb move. He actually revealed in the interview that Maini had let off the brakes and run a bit wide, and that gave him the opportunity. So spotting that mistake and executing the move, unbelievable skillful driving. And once he was through, there was no catching him, even though Sebastian Montoya did his best. But Kush Maini put up a good defence and held everybody back so that Leo could win the race.
Another podium for Sebastian Montoya as well, and another podium for Roman Stanek, which, 2 on the bounce for him, bit of momentum for him perhaps. Summer asks, what exactly caused Stanek to not get a penalty during the sprint race incident with Kush Maini? It was very close. And Martin and I, we spoke before this podcast. For me, I saw that after watching the Formula 3 race on Saturday morning, and I saw, who was it? It was... done the same thing, and I was thinking, that's a penalty for Stanek, but that penalty never came.
Yeah, so I've got the stewards ruling on my phone here. Both Kush and Roman were summoned to the stewards, and the stewards basically said that available video evidence showed that the front axle of car 2 was ahead of the front axle of car 12 at the apex of Stowe Corner, which meant that in their view, Stanek was entitled to more racing room that mine didn't give him. And so in their view, in this incredibly convoluted time of racing rules and overtaking on the outside that we have, in their view, it's implied that he was forced off the track and was entitled to make that overtake because he was already ahead, rather than overtaking off the track and coming back on and it being an egregious and unfair move. I think it's certainly when it happened, I was quite worried, because you're looking at Roman and I just watched the Formula 3 race. I just watched that exact scenario play out, and Teo Nile get a penalty and have his result taken away from him. He got the podium the next day, so he made up for it. But I thought Roman's put in all this hard work and he's going to be relegated to the back of that bunch, and he might not even get any points to show for it. So I was relatively surprised, but I think the stewards did a lot of work to look at, where's the exact angle? How much room has Maini given him? Is this angle deceiving that we've got here? And they went through a lot of the evidence, felt that it was a legal move. I was quite surprised that Stanek didn't give it up. I don't know if Invicta told him to give it up, because where we were out trackside, it was difficult to hear the team radios. I was quite surprised that he didn't give it up because, to be honest, I thought, and pretty quickly, because to be honest, I thought he was going to have another opportunity and he could make that move more cleanly and be completely sure of third place. But I think he just wanted to run off and celebrate, and he was completely right in doing that. So fair play, Roman Stanek.
Yeah, for sure. Good result for him. Kush Maini, Aaron, I listen. You know that I'm a big fan of Kush, but his season so far. So Akshay on X asked, can you review Kush Maini's season so far and his chances at upcoming rounds? I mean, it's difficult for me to. I find it tough. I'm a big fan of Kush, but his pace. Obviously, he was starting on pole in the sprint race. He didn't quite even convert it to a podium, a P4 finish, and his pace was way off in the feature race. And I know I asked you about whether there was any damage to his car in the feature race, and it doesn't sound like there was. You were saying it's just genuine pace. It's been a really difficult season for Kush, and a season that I felt like he could potentially push on this year.
Yeah, it's been a real shame. I was looking at his points tallies here, and no points in any of the first 5 races, 1 point over the first 4 rounds. Then there was Monaco, where he won the sprint race, having started on reverse grid pole. Picked up a few points in the feature race, which was quite messy. Points in the feature race in Spain, and then 5 points on Saturday at Silverstone. It's a shame because the pace is there. When he's on it, he's really quick. It's just not coming together for him at the moment at Dams. He struggled last year at Invicta at times, but again, the pace looked like it was there early in the season, and then it looked like Bortoleto just got the momentum. Weirdly, Campos in his first year alongside Ralph Boschung was his strongest year, and Campos weren't the force that they currently are at the front of the field at that point. That was with the old car. So, yeah, it's really strange. It's tough for Kush because, like you said, the speed has been there. I think he burnt out his tyres a bit too much defending on Saturday, and then I've just been reading the Dams press release post-weekend, and they gambled on the slicks, and that wasn't the right thing to do. So That's why he ended up P16 in the feature race with no points. So, a difficult weekend for Kush, and hopefully he'll be bouncing back at Spa in Hungary.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a difficult weekend, and I still think Kush, potentially a win this season at some point. So let's keep an eye out for that. We've got 3 more questions in the Discord. I don't know what order to go in. Let's go. Let's go. I'm going to come back to Luke Browning, and I'm going to come back to Arvid Lindblad and his FP1 performance because I want to definitely touch on that. Let's stick on the topic of. Sorry. Oh, coughing there. Clearly allergic to the question I'm going to ask. Ollie Gerfer, so Salvatore asks, what's happening to Ollie Gerfer? I thought he was going to be at the front regularly this season, but he barely has a handful of points. What's keeping him away from the results that we expected? Martin, I'll come to you for that one. I think you spoke to Ollie Gerfer this weekend, didn't you? What was he saying?
Yeah, I spoke to Ollie on Thursday, and he noticeably really wanted to pick up this result this weekend. He felt the cause of the speed not being quite there was actually in qualifying, and he was saying that he actually needs to take that little bit of extra risk, put himself more on the limit in qualifying to make that next step to the pace that Richard has every weekend, because in the races generally he's got quite a good pace. It's just that where he's starting so far back, not often, even making it into the reversed top 10, that's where Ollie is falling back, and it's making it much more difficult for him to score points. If you look at the standings at the moment, he's down in 15th place. He's only got 12 points. He hasn't scored in the last 4 rounds, but that's not the Oliver Goethe that got promoted early to Formula 2 last season with MP, because Colapinto got promoted to F1. He was contending for the F3 title a lot of last year.
Yeah,
this is a guy who's got a lot of pace, who knows this team in MP Motorsport quite well, and it's just not quite working for him. I don't think this is like I said. I don't think this is the case of a driver who's not quick. I just think that it's going to need a confidence boost. It's going to need suddenly picking up even a 4th, 5th, 6th place in qualifying out of nowhere. Then you give yourself an opportunity in the sprint race, and you've got the opportunity in the feature race as well. Pick up even 10 points in a weekend, and suddenly that momentum starts to shift for Ollie.
Luke Browning, let's come to him. So Luke John on our Discord channel asks, if Luke Browning wins the title and can't do Formula 2 in 2026, what are his options next year with such limited availability in F1? Should he go to another racing series rather than just sit on the sidelines? I am not sure, personally, myself. I'm not sure he's going to win the title this year. I think it's been a brilliant building year for Luke Browning. I think he'll definitely finish in the top 5 of the standings. He's been incredibly consistent. I'm not sure he's going to win the title, so I'm expecting to see him back for next year. Aaron, I don't know what your thoughts are on that. And where could he go if he does win the F2 title? Where could he go?
Right. Well, okay. Let's think hypothetically here. If Luke Browning goes on a bit of a run, wins a few feature races, and wins the F2 title, what does he do? Williams have got Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz. They've also got Victor Martins as part of the driver academy. So with the health record of Albon,
Colapinto online.
I don't think Colapinto is still theirs, is he?
Online, isn't he? He's on like a 5-year
He'll be
loan
back in a
deal.
couple of years.
I
He'll be back in a couple of years or a couple of weeks, one of the two.
Don't know what the situation is with Colapinto, whether he's a Williams driver. Who even knows if he'll still be an Alpine driver? But anyway, Albon and Sainz, they've got a slightly patchy medical history, considering their appendixes. So there could be an opportunity there. But apart from that, maybe the Cadillac seat, simply because there's a new team, but I find that really unlikely. I don't see where else there's going to be much movement. He'll probably end up having to just sit a year out, maybe do a bit of WEC or a bit of Formula E here and there.
Super Formula?
Yeah, perhaps, but I can't see him going like fully abroad like that, like to the States or to Japan.
I don't think it would happen. I agree with you, Fraser. I don't think Luke's going to win the title this year because I think he just needs a little bit more. But we saw on Sunday, even though he didn't win, I think it was a breakout drive because it wasn't just those solid second or third places he's been getting earlier in the season. It was incredible. And I don't think there's too many times that you'd have a damp Silverstone crowd at 11:30 on the Sunday morning cheering overtakes in Formula 2.
Yeah.
A crowd at any racetrack. And that just showed the level that Luke Browning was operating at. I think a driver of his ability, his confidence, I'd love to see him go to IndyCar. I don't think it will happen. His dream is Formula 1. If he wins Formula 2 this season, he's going to get to F1 at some point, I would think, even if not in 2026. But I think his driving style, his confidence, I think it would really suit IndyCar down to the ground. I'd love to see him operating with Marcus Armstrong and Christian Lundgaard on some of those road courses over there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's wait and see. I mean, if I was Luke Brown and seeing the way the driver market's unfolding, I would probably be aiming for a P3 finish in Formula 2 next year. Set yourself up really nicely for to go and win the championship next year in Formula 2 and see what the options are for 2027, because I think there'll be more options Formula 1 wise in 2027 than there potentially could be in 2026. And I don't think anyone would frown upon finishing P3 in the standards in your first full season of Formula 2 and going on and winning the championship in the second full season. Final question, because I'm very conscious of time. Jimmy on X asked, what did you make of Arvid Lindblad's FP1 performance? And also, what did you make of Christian Horner's comments about how impressed he's been by Lindblad? Could he be in Formula 1 next year? Aaron, I'm going to come to you for that one.
Yeah, I think he'll be in Formula 1 next year. I think Liam Lawson is probably on the way out. He's been, I won't say burnt, he's been scorched by that second Red Bull seat. We're seeing Yuki Tsunoda have similar sorts of issues. I think if you put Isaac Hadjar in there, he'll have exactly the same problems. Obviously, next year is a slightly new car in terms of the design, so it could be different. Oh, so you're up against Max Verstappen in that Red Bull, so whoever's in that is going to get chewed up and spat out the other side. I can see Lawson being dropped, and I can see Lindblad getting the Racing Bulls seat alongside. Will it be Hadjar or will it be Tsunoda? Who even knows? I mean, yeah, I think they'll stick with Tsunoda, experienced hand now, and then he'll be able to give them a feel on the new car versus the old car. So it'd probably be alongside Hadjar. I think Red Bull are learning their lesson with managing their new drivers in. I think that's what the lesson they learned with Lawson finally, after all of the chaos that went before. Although they did have Sergio Perez for 3 years and he was struggling. So yeah, it's a weird situation. The Red Bull conveyor belt is a great pathway into F1, but at the moment, when you get there, it's an absolute poison chalice once you get beyond Racing Bulls, and you'll burn, and no one really wants to pick you up outside of that. Although Gasly and Albon have resurrected their careers very nicely, so all hope isn't lost if you come out the other side of that and it doesn't quite work out. But yeah, it was great for Lindblad to have that opportunity in the car. He did a really good job in first practice. We've seen it go wrong for other drivers before. So 4 wheels on the wagon at the end of the session, and he hopped back into the F2 car, was on course for reverse grid pole, but then Leo Fornaroli bagged P10 with a very good lap, very important lap, which transformed his weekend and potentially his entire championship. And that is the margin in which they deal in motorsport. It is one lap here or there from one driver or another, and everything can change.
Okay, that's all we got time for today. My thanks to Aaron and to Martin for joining us on the show again. Really glad you had a good weekend at Silverstone, chaps. If you've enjoyed the show, as always, please make sure you give it a like, subscribe for more Formula 2 content. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win the championship. And as always, don't forget to join our Discord channel where we're talking all the time about all things Formula 2. But from me, Fraser Ford, and all of us here at Inside F2, we'll see you next time.